which is, it's good that his biggest fear wasn't public speaking or something, because that would have been a horrible superhero. But Batman's better.
Yeah.
I defeat villains with my speeches, my public speeches.
Yeah. Toastmasters.
Toastmasters, right, yeah.
What's up, my nerd?
Welcome, everyone, to the Credible Nerds podcast. My name is Justin, and we are here to talk more about Batman. We have been doing a Batman series. We started with Batman 1989 with Michael Keaton and have worked our way up through the past 4 movies, and we are going to be talking Batman Begins today. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in, watching, listening. We appreciate it. Make sure you like the video, comment on the video, share the video. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps us out a lot. So we appreciate you guys watching. And I'm here with my fellow Robins to my Batman. We got to Blake and Nathan in the studio. How are you guys doing?
I'm feeling very
I'm a little hurt.
I'm a little hurt.
Yeah.
Then we got Mark joining us from the Batcave. How are you doing?
Oh, see, Mark's in the Batcave, and I'm wearing yellow spandex. And Mark's in the Batcave. Great.
I'm doing good.
Yeah. So we are talking Christopher Nolan's first Batman movie of the trilogy, Batman Begins. It came out in 2005, so it's been a while. June 15th, 2005 was the release date. Had a budget of $150 million and it grossed $373 million. So not huge numbers.
To date, right?
I think it was that year. Mm-hmm. So, and I think the reason why is because of the previous Batman movie, because I did not see this movie in theaters because of Batman and Robin. I heard it was terrible, so I didn't go see that. And I was like, oh, another Batman movie. Pass.
Wow.
So I didn't see it till it came out on video, and then I watched it, and I was like, holy crap, what did I miss? This is amazing. So I don't know, maybe that had something to do with the budget, the box office take, because we know The Dark Knight just killed it at the box office. So I don't know. But here we are talking Batman Begins, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne / Batman, Michael Caine as Alfred the Butler, Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes, Gary Oldman as Detective Gordon, Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow, Dr. Crane, and so on and so forth. Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. So anyways, as far as this movie, did you guys see it in theaters? What was your initial impressions? Kind of, did you like it? Was it worth seeing? All that stuff. What do you say, Blake?
So Marie has a little bit of a thing for Christian Bale since Newsies.
Lucky you.
So it worked out really well. We did see it at the movie theater.
Nice.
So, and we loved it. I mean, like you say, at that time, I think the first Batman movies had come out and they were good and popular, and then they got really bad at the end. And so there for a few years, it didn't feel like we really had much. And so it was a cool surprise. It was different than what we'd seen in other Batmans. It was dark. It was cool. And so we really liked it.
Yeah. What about for you, Mark? Did you see it in theaters? What was your initial impressions?
I don't remember if I saw it in theaters. Like, that was so long ago. I think I did, but
it's like 19 years ago.
I liked it. I know. I definitely liked it.
That's right.
It was a reboot from the terrible series before that, right? And so I was kind of interested to see it, see where we went. I liked seeing Batman with no nipples, and so it was good.
Yeah, win-win.
Yeah.
What about for you, Nate?
I did see it in the movie theater, but that's all I remember. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I remember that is because the scene where he's standing on top of the building, like with the guard, like I just remember that shot, and as it panned around, and I was just like, that's amazing. That's so cool. Mm-hmm. And like seeing that in the theater was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know who I saw it with. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Mm-hmm. But I just remember seeing that part and just like, this is awesome.
Yeah. So overall, favorable impressions for those that saw it in theaters?
Yeah.
At least in this room. But yeah, it's a new beginning, new origin story. As far as a new take on the origin story is always the same. But this time there was some twist to it, and we'll get into that in a minute. But basically, Batman, or Bruce Wayne, his parents are killed. He trains to become Batman. He becomes Batman. It's like year one of Batman, and him learning how to fight, learning how to navigate Gotham City to get the criminals, and he takes down this plot from the League of Shadows to put a lot of this fear toxin into the water supply so that the League of Shadows can take down Gotham. And so he's there to thwart that and fight against that. And that's what kind of the main plot of this. So, and with this new origin story of Batman, or this new take on it, I guess, the thing that made it different is what we got. We actually started out with present day Bruce Wayne. He's in a prison camp in China or somewhere in Asia. And as he goes through this sequence of fighting in prison and getting able to be released, and then going and finding the League of Shadows, we get these flashbacks from when he was young. And the first flashback we see is when he falls down the well and sees the bats and is scared by them. And so then it kind of just builds on up to the point where his parents are killed in front of him by Joe Chill. So I don't know, what do you guys think about this new take on things, where back then it was kind of a new thing with this flashback storytelling? Like we got a lot of that with Lost. That was a big deal. And so it was kind of that era of like, hey, check out this new format, or maybe it's not necessarily new, but became more popular. And we see it in this feature film. For you, Nathan, what was your take on that format and how we were presented with this story we know so well?
I like it. To me, it helps move the story along. You don't spend a lot of time in, 15, 20 minutes of exposition building the story up. You're already, and I also like movies where they throw you into the story right at the beginning, right? And they already kind of have that capture you and then they kind of bring you along, and the show and not tell type of storytelling. And I think Chris Nolan did a great job in that respect and in that format, and bringing you back and forth between the present and the past as you slowly build up learning about the character as he himself transitions through the movie and becomes the character that he becomes, Batman.
Yeah.
And going from fear and overcoming that fear.
Yeah. I like that. For you, Blake, as far as, do you feel like you got to know him, you got to know his parents, and just like it was more personal, or what was your think?
Yeah, I like that too, and I think that the the flashbacks and kind of the nonlinear way that the story builds, you're kind of like, oh, why is he that way? Why is he in that situation? Mm-hmm. And then you learn a little bit more. You're like, oh, and so it's kind of cool how it used that approach to build that story. Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah, it's a very engaging format. And so the other half of this story was Bruce training with the League of Shadows and Ra's al Ghul. For you, Mark, what do you think about that? We hadn't seen that before in a movie.
Yeah, no, I thought it was cool because it kind of explains how Batman trained, how he became dangerous. He was taught to engage 600 men, right? And he could fight a lot of people at once. I thought it was neat that a lot of the training really didn't. I mean, it centered around skills and stuff, but it centered around like harnessing his anger and his fear and his frustrations and his, like over righteousness type thing into a goal, right? So it's like, look, you've got all this fear and this anger, but we need to focus it. And, I know that you can beat up 6 guys, but I'm training you for something greater. And to do that, you've got to be, do it. And so I thought that was pretty neat because it was more about the psychological of Batman as opposed to just some guy that goes and beats people up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the introduction of Ra's al Ghul was great. First, we didn't know who he was. We thought it was this other guy, but it was really Qui-Gon Jinn. So that was great. And I think I read something just recently that Guy Pearce was supposed to play Ra's al Ghul, and then some executives at WB are like, we don't like that guy. Get someone else.
I don't get him. Get someone else. Yeah.
And so I read that, and they had a picture of him there. So I tried to picture him in Liam Neeson's role, and I could kind of see it. I was like, okay, yeah, that would be kind of different. But then I watched the movie, and I was like, okay, Liam Neeson with his voice, he's got that Jedi wisdom. He's been Aslan, the wise lion, and all that stuff. So he kind of already had that going for him, that mentor role. And it was just great. So I think if it would have been Guy Pearce, great. But I think Liam Neeson was
it worked
awesome.
out good.
He brought a particular set of skills to the role.
Yeah. So, and just the training sequences between him and Bruce Wayne was great too. So, and I felt like you guys kind of touched on it. It was more interactive. For me, it was more emotional seeing the murder of Bruce's parents. And because we had the opportunity to have or witness conversations with how he is with his son, how he was mentoring him and teaching him. He was a loving, caring dad, successful guy. He wasn't just this, like in the Joker movie, Bruce Wayne is just he's this rich guy. He's kind of a jerk and he doesn't care. At least that's the impression they give off. He doesn't care about other people. And this was the opposite. He cared for the people. He wanted to help others. And he actually prevented the takeover of Gotham by the League of Shadows previously. So we get to know him and his mom, and then when they were killed, that was much more impactful to see that. And the kid that played young Bruce was great too with his acting skills. So.
Yeah. Well, in the way that like Ra's al Ghul kept bagging on his dad.
Yeah.
Like even I don't know, memorialized him even more, you know.
Dad's a failure.
Dad's a failure. He stopped us once.
Yeah.
But then he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with Joe Chill killing him, was that because he was saying, I was in a bad place, but I kind of got the impression it was Falcone's guy, or like he was a hit, or I don't know. Do you guys remember or have an opinion on that? Was it a coordinated attack or?
I don't think so in this particular movie series. Mm-hmm. I think it was a random a mugging, and and he just freaked out, and he wanted the necklace, and the dad jumped in the way of the bullet, kind of so to speak. But I could be wrong, but I didn't get that impression.
Yeah, the way it was filmed and everything, he felt pretty out of control of the situation and panicking, and so I felt the same way. He was a Falcone guy, but he was doing a little freelance pearl snatching that night.
Okay.
But I did like the scene. I did like, he could tell when they're watching the play, which I think in the original comic it's supposed to be Zorro. Yeah. But in this one it's like some
opera.
Bat
with
bats
and hell.
Well, and that also shows how good of a dad he was, because no matter what the movie is, or obviously we do not go to a lot of operas, whatever the movie is, if my kids I'm like, cover your eyes, we paid $10 a person for these seats, we're not leaving early.
$10, more like $100.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
So it was cool that he's like, okay, let's go. And
he probably hated it too, and he was just like, "Oh, you don't like it?
Oh, he does.
Hey, you know what? We got to get out of here.
We better."
Yeah, the son doesn't like the play. It's freaking him out. But of course, go ahead.
Mark. On a writing level, I always found it weird that they just go out the side door into the alley.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait. You could go out the front door where there's probably security and, they're going to go grab your vehicle and drive it to the front for you to take you. But let's go out this side door into this dark alley, where like it generally looks like you'll find dead people anyway. I'm like, that's really strange writing. I get you had to make it happen, but I always said like, that's so strange.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, why did you're Bruce Wayne, why are you sneaking, or not Bruce Wayne, but you're But why are you sneaking out the
Common point,
back? Yeah, just walk out the front and get in your limo like you did when you showed up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. So Joe Chill, this one is named Joe Chill. In the Batman 89, it was, what was Joker's name?
Napier?
Yeah,
Jack
Jack
Napier.
Napier.
Yeah.
And then I think in the Joker movie, it was some random Joker guy,
Yeah.
Joker wannabe. So it always seems to be a different person, right? So do you guys know if there's a definitive murderer of, like, in the comics?
I don't. I grew up
Yeah, I don't know.
on the Jack Nicholas idea of Jack Napier,
That's
the Joker.
that was their
That was
connection.
it. But
yeah.
I think that was not the original. Would have to look that up. Get more credible.
Yeah. What kind of podcast is this?
Yeah, jeez. What's that guy's name again?
I think Joe Chill is the guy in general that they show that is
Is
killing,
it?
that kills him. Yeah, Joe. That pretty much most of them. I mean, there's some that do, but I think Joe Chill is the original from like in the like late 30s or something.
Okay. That's one thing I did notice about this movie and Christopher Nolan. There's a lot of comic book lore. Like it's true to, at least with names and places and things like that. Whereas the previous movies, they would make up a character. Like Alfred's niece is Batgirl, and we've never heard of her before, but yet she's in this movie. And so you got a lot of that with those previous 4 movies, but this one is a lot more true to what's already established that they brought in, kind of grounded into already established canon, which I appreciated a lot. So with Joe Chill, he's a Carmine Falcone guy, and he played a great role in this film, as well as we saw some other villains. We talked about Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows, and Scarecrow made an appearance, Dr. Crane, as well as even a cameo of sorts a couple times, I guess, of Victor Zsasz, an assassin. I've always liked him as a kind of a secondary or even a tertiary character. He's pretty interesting. But for you guys, what do you think of the villain lineup? I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 with Joe Chill 5. Is that too many villains, or is that a good amount?
I didn't think so because, I mean, there wasn't a lot of pageantry around him, I mean, Falcone was, and they all kind of were a part of a bigger thing. And so for me, I'm like you. When I saw, like Spider-Man, what was it, Spider-Man 3 that had 25 villains, or, and it gets really bloated and everything. And I don't know if it's the fact that this is a little bit more grounded in reality and that the villains are and that the special effects and things like are, but it felt good to me,
Yeah. I didn't have a problem with the number of villains, but I have to admit, and maybe I'm just a little slow, but I never really was quite sure who the main villain was. Like, I was like, is it I thought it was Falcone, but then that pretty much, he gets taken out. So then the whole time I thought it was Scarecrow, but then he alludes that there's someone coming, someone bigger than him. Mm-hmm. And then they really don't reveal who that is until kind of the end.
Yeah.
And then it's like Ra's al Ghul has been the puppet master this entire time. And you thought who you thought was dead, but then the big reveal, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, this entire. So I don't know about you guys, but I kind of went through the whole movie going, what is the going on here? Yeah. There's drugs, there's
how does
Scarecrow.
This all come
how does this all come
and...
together? And it doesn't really, for me, it didn't really all the pieces of the puzzle didn't fall into place more till the end, which, that could have been intentional and fine. That's fine.
Well, and I think that's kind of Christopher Nolan's calling card.
Yeah.
Before this was Memento, which was like that. A lot of pieces that finally come together at the end. The Prestige. I can't remember if that was before or after this.
Yeah.
After, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know.
But The Prestige is very
Right.
similar.
Yeah.
Lots of pieces, and then it finally comes together.
Which
I think that
love.
was after this.
Yeah,
but
and
yeah.
I do love that. Right.
Yeah.
It's not a criticism, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it definitely by design, but did it work? I think on the second, third, fourth viewings, you start to put it all together. It starts to make more sense, which are a lot of Christopher Nolan's films, like Tenet. I had to watch 3 times before I kind of knew what was going
He
on.
wants you to pay for it to watch it 3 times.
Yeah,
Let me get them in the theater 3 or 4 times.
yeah, and it works most of the time. So.
Yeah.
For you, Mark, did this cadre of villains make sense? Did it pay off for you?
Yeah, it did. I thought it was interesting that, Falcone and Scarecrow are in their own rights kind of high-level villains, but they were puppets in a greater game, right? So like here you have Falcone, and he is, him and Scarecrow like have some weird power struggle, and in the end, it's always like, oh no, Ra's al Ghul's coming, right? And he's the number one. So I thought that was cool, but I also think because you had so many and you had to wrap them up, that it left the story lacking in a couple places, right? Falcone is the top dog guy, and now he's drug saying Scarecrow nonstop, right? So
Yeah,
kind
he had
of
a mental
end
break.
his story a little weird. Yeah. Then you've got Scarecrow who gets electrocuted and runs off on a horse screaming for his life. You have Joe Chill who gets just shot by some random lady. You know what I mean? Like you have some really weird endings, and I get you had to do that because you had to close those loops. But because you had so many villains, you had these kind of anticlimactic endings. You're like, okay, that's it. That's all we get. So, except Ra's al Ghul, right? His was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to see, at least in maybe in The Dark Knight Rises, because he always goes to the Lazarus pit, right? And he's reborn. I wanted to see like a flashback scene with him and his daughter where he's being lowered, he's retrieved from the wreckage, taken to the Lazarus pit, and like resurrected. Maybe he doesn't do anything else, but he's still out there.
Oh, you wanted to see that he didn't die in the train.
Yeah.
crash.
Well, he did, but then he got his second, probably like 5th or 6th chance.
I can see that. Yeah,
That would have been cool.
I agree, Mark. Though they because they kind of had anticlimactic endings, then you were like, okay, well then who's who's behind all this? And you really don't really know. You're like, so then you're like, maybe the story's not as compelling because you don't really know who the bad guy is. But then I'm like, so maybe they could have done, like they did in Star Wars, talk about the Emperor, but you won't actually see the Emperor till like the third, till like the second movie, and then he's just like a video, and then he finally shows up. So maybe in this one, if they had kind of intentionally not left who this, it's Ra's al Ghul. I mean, the Scarecrow does mention it in that scene when they're dumping all the drugs into the water supply, right? If I recall correctly, that's where that's where the big reveal is.
Well, I think, no, isn't it at the party?
Is it at the party?
The party first, because he's walking and the lady says, you've got to meet this guy.
Well, that's the end. I mean,
right, but that's happening at the same time as the water supply,
is it?
Well, they go from the water supply in Arkham, because that's where Rachel gets poisoned, and then he brings her back to the mansion.
And then he goes to the party.
Then he goes to the party, and then Ra's al Ghul's there.
So that's true.
So I think it would have been cool if, like, the League of Shadows shows up to the party, Ra's al Ghul doesn't, and then in the Dark Knight trilogy or Rises, Ra's al Ghul comes back.
Yeah,
you're like, oh yeah, he's the big villain.
Or Scarecrow keeps mentioning the League of Shadows, the League of Shadows, the League of Shadows. No mention of Ra's al Ghul. And then he's like, and then the woman's like, let me introduce you to Ra's al Ghul. And you get that reaction that you do see.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that he thought it was dead. Yeah. But he's like, but then of course, I don't know why they had to have the guy, instead of Liam being the one that he turns and looks at. He turns and looks at some guy that's just completely random
with the like a bleached, like
Yeah.
Fu Manchu.
And then Liam, and then
Yeah, yeah.
and then he's behind him. It's like a
Mind your surroundings.
double curtain reveal. Just
Yeah.
have him turn and have him see
Yeah.
Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. That would have been to me just, and have him be like, whoa.
So it seems like the consensus is great villains, but the way they were wrapped up, or kind of the ending of their story, was weak, maybe, or wasn't fulfilled to our.
Yeah,
Just a lot to wrap up.
Yeah.
But I do. I mean, I don't know. I guess I haven't watched The Dark Knight Rises for 3 or 4 years, and so it'll be interesting to watch that again. But I totally dig Bane in that movie, so
Yeah.
I'm okay with them wrapping up Ra's al
That's true.
Ghul in
That's
this
true.
one.
Oh yeah. I'm glad that it didn't drag into the second. I love that they have the Joker card.
Did the
Oh,
League of Shadows go into the? Were they ever? Because I know in the second one, it's all of the patients from Arkham that kind of go into that, into the plot of the second one. Do the League of Shadows come back in the third one, or do they not? I can't remember.
I think they're
Yeah, a
mentioned.
little bit.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, a little bit, right? Because Talia al Ghul's there, and she's part of the League of Shadows. Bane is part of
There you go.
So yeah, they continue to be around the entire show, and but I think it's kind of a dumbed down version of what it started with.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is that the same group from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Is that the same League of Shadows or whatever?
Shadow Clan?
Shadow.
Is that it? Is it Shadow Clan?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Something like that, yeah.
You're going to make Justin mad.
League of Shadows have a little like half pipe in a abandoned warehouse where they hang out.
Well, Batman
Play
and
video
the
games.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are getting some story together. They've been crossing over
There
in
you
the
go.
comics, so why not? All right, it's cool. So one thing that Bruce is always struggling with throughout the movie is his fear. He falls down the well at the beginning. The bats kind of crowd him or fly by him, and it freaks him out, which I think is pretty realistic there. I think we'd all be like, what? Especially as a young kid. And so from there, he has fear of bats, and he sees his parents murdered in front of him, so he has fear and anger. I thought they did a good job of addressing that. And it isn't until he goes out to the League of Shadows where he learns to control that fear and anger and turn that fear into something else. And so we see that theme throughout the whole movie. I think this has been discussed since 2005, how that is, and I thought it was done beautifully. The toxin is the fear toxin that Scarecrow uses. Scarecrow's the perfect villain for this type of story with fear. That's what he does. It's one of his go-to calling cards, is to get people to be scared, and confront their fears, or be overwhelmed by their fears. So he was great for that. I did like how they used the fear toxin as one of the main, kind of the mechanism for taking over Gotham, and to make people turn on each other and all of that, as opposed to just freezing Gotham with a big freeze ray. And if you're frozen for more than 30 seconds or whatever it was, then you're done.
Yeah.
But so definitely better thing. But as far as fear goes, did this resonate with you guys? Was it like, okay, yeah, I'd be scared too? Or that you don't have no fear? Nathan?
I have no fear. Yeah. No, I loved it. And to me, I looked at it as like, this isn't about, it's about overcoming your fears, but not in such a way where you lose fear, but rather you learn to live with that. You're going to have fear, and it teaches you how to. I don't know if manage is the right word, but overcome it and use it, embrace it, and have it be a part of you. And which is why I think, for Bruce. He had that experience in the well with all the bats. The opera had bats. Bats freaked him out. And he was like, this is what I fear. Of course, he also felt the guilt. he felt guilty that it was that fear that caused them to leave early, and that's what got his parents killed. So he carried that guilt. That's my fault. My parents are gone. And it's just, he's like embracing that fear and using it as a part, accepting it as part of life, and then learning for it to not freeze him and impede him from acting, and then conquering it in that capacity.
Yeah. Taking it to the point that he became Batman, embraced his fear that much, which is, it's good that his biggest fear wasn't public speaking or something, because that would have been a horrible superhero. But Batman's better.
Yeah.
I defeat villains with my speeches, my public speeches.
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters, right? Yeah.
Any thoughts from you, Mark, about this theme of fear throughout the movie?
Yeah, no, it's just kind of neat how they do it. Like, it's about conquering your internal fear and using it for something better. I think that the way they showed it here really humanizes who Batman is. Like, he's a superhero, so like they get fantasized a lot, right, about who they are and what they are, and I think this makes him more human, right? Like, oh, this is just a guy like me who has troubles, and he has taken it to the next level, right? And in the end, he doesn't really have any superpowers except that he's rich.
He's rich.
So, yeah. So,
Which is what I love
but
about this movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So no, I liked it. I liked the whole idea behind the whole thing, and how they progressed it and made it a thing that can be overcome and controlled.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked the tech of this movie. Like, it was all a lot of introductory, like, here's this jumpsuit, and he takes it, modifies it, paints it, and he has all the makes the batarangs, he grinds them down into shape, and gets the tumbler, which we've talked about, and how awesome that was. He paints it black. So there's just a lot of tech that helps him, and even then, it's still in the introductory phase, because in the next movies, they get better and better, which you would think be the natural progression.
I love that Chris Nolan was intentional in keeping this out of the fantasy and making it realistic, and because you'd be like, who has time to? It would take years to grind out a bat cave, cave underneath a castle, right? That he's like, oh, that was already there, and that's where to me, there's some symbolism of that, because that's where the bats dwell. That's where his fear dwells, and that's where he puts his headquarters. He surrounds himself with fear, and that everything that you just mentioned, Justin, it makes it all realistic and keeps the fantastic. I love that this in this universe, it's all reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we see him jumping off buildings on fire, right? Yeah. And he's not like majestic about it. He's like crashes into the
falling
thing,
into
keeps falling.
Fire. Yeah.
Is
falling down.
Pretty crazy. Because then he gets the flying suit, which is pretty cool later. But like initially, he was just jumping, going for it, and see what happens.
Well, and it was it was cool. Like his chemistry with Fox, was super cool, and that's what would happen. He'd go do something, and then he'd come back and be like, "Hey, so do you have any material to help me fly a little bit?" After he, breaks his ribs or whatever.
I have a habit of jumping off buildings and landing on fire escapes.
Yeah.
It's not working out too well.
Yeah. And then, Fox was like, oh, you wouldn't be interested in that. And they're just like, that was a good dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I just like, too, how he's just like, look, don't pretend I'm stupid. I know what's going on here, right? Like, I read the papers, I see what's going on, and weird enough, this guy hopped out of a building and had this cool, cape thing that transformed into something. Or there's this vehicle I literally gave to you yesterday, running down the road and running over cop cars. Like,
and you had me paint it black.
Yeah, and but hey, you're spelunking. Let's go.
That was great.
Okay, so all right. So we didn't warm up to this topic, but the voice.
Bring it in,
Yeah. The first time you hear it, I want to know what you thought.
So for me, it's about if everything else is working, then it also works. You know what I mean? And so it worked for me. It wasn't distracting.
Didn't distract.
It wasn't,
The first time you heard it, you weren't like, you didn't do a double take.
No.
Like, what? Why,
No.
why is he doing that?
I think because I was so into it, I was just like, they could, whatever they shovel out to me is gonna
you were
is
just
gonna be
eating
fine.
it alive. No
Yeah.
problem. How about you, Justin?
I noticed it, but it didn't bother me till the next movie. Because I
Because
think
we got to pay attention. Now.
I think there was more of it.
Yeah, I did. It is a known thing that they intensified it in the second movie. They made it.
Have you guys watched The Neighbors ever?
Remind me.
So there's it's a comedy with
that movie.
the movie The Neighbors
about the couple and the
and they
fraternity, the frat house.
they live next to a frat house.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's a scene where they're talking about who's your Batman. My Batman's, Michael Keaton. Who's your Batman? And so then they start doing the voices back and forth, and I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. They go back. It's a really funny scene. But yeah.
All right, Mark, your take on The Voice.
If there is a weak point in the movie, that The Voice is it, right? I think it took everyone for a spin. It was, in this one, it wasn't kind of like we said, it wasn't near as bad. In the next one, it got a little worse, it just was getting a lot. But I kind of like it too, because he's got a mask on and he changes his voice, and the Ben Affleck version kind of did the same thing, but more of an electronic type voice. I like it because I think the whole idea that Superman just changes his clothes and no one knows who he is crazy, right?
That's right. That's right.
He is the exact look of Clark Kent who works in my office. Weird.
Yeah.
Can't be him though, right?
But where is Clark right now? He just left.
Yeah, it's so weird. So so I kind of like that because they try to make it its own thing. I think it worked for it, but it did get a little bit much.
It was noticeable.
Yeah, I hated it. It was a distraction. It blew. I was like, shut up. I hate this. I'm like, why is he? Who approved this? Who greenlighted this? Now it doesn't bother me, right? But the first time I was like, do you need to go clear your throat somewhere? You could talk forcefully, but not sound like you're gargling water.
But kind of going back to what Mark said about the disguise, is it not distracting to you when you're watching Superman and you're like, come on, guys. Come on.
To me, I think
he literally went into that phone booth and Superman came out.
It's not the voice.
And they look the same.
It's the glasses that I'm like, come on, guys. The glasses on, glasses off. You can't make.
Half the time he's still got his glasses just in his
right
in his costume right there.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I agree with Mark, but I don't. I think they just should have turned the volume down.
Was a little distracting.
It was like take it to a 5. He's like 8 or a 9. I'm like, have a different voice, but let's have it still not sound like you're gargling mouthwash or you're trying to clear your throat, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But,
you have a passionate view.
Have you guys seen that? Have you guys seen that dumb reel where they've got the four guys in front of the police?
Oh yeah. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. Yeah, and he's like, really? You want me to say this? I'm Batman. Yeah, that's kind of right.
He changed his voice to a English accent or something. Or
I mean,
that's a good one.
After that movie came out, that was a common topic that everyone talked about, right? And made fun of, right? There was tons of videos and memes of that voice. Yeah. People making fun of that voice. Anyways.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Well, I was just curious what you guys thought about it.
Well, to keep in line with the other movies we've talked about, Batman brings the girl that he likes, he's interested, into his Batcave.
What does
Every
Blake
time
say?
you have a chance, right? Every time.
Should always bring a girl to your Batcave.
However, this one's a little different because he doesn't take off his mask and say, "Hey, this is my Batcave. I'm Bruce Wayne."
Yeah, he kind of hides.
She doesn't know who it is till later.
Yeah,
But and I think that's the right way to do it. Is bring him in, don't reveal who you are, and then.
And he never takes his mask off in front of her. It's just in any of the movies, right? It's just she figures it out in this movie because of what he says.
Yeah.
But when he's got the mask on, he doesn't act like Bruce Wayne around her.
Yeah.
I mean, he acts like Batman around her when he's dressed like Batman.
He does the voice.
Yeah.
Rachel!
My teenage sons would scream that all the time around the house. Rachel! And then why'd you say that name? That was a few years later. Why'd you say that name?
Martha.
We went from Rachel to Martha
Yeah.
being yelled around the house many times.
Sounds like a nerd household.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, as far as the other things, I liked the locations of Gotham. There was the Narrows. I don't think we really see that in other films.
Yeah.
I liked that. That's a comic book feature that's often in the stories, and so I liked seeing that. Arkham Asylum, we saw that. So we saw some key locations as well as, some standard places, the mansion, Batcave, all that stuff. So
And all of that, the first Batmans, the Tim Burton ones and Joe Schumacher Batmans, was so claustrophobic. Everything, even the cities, looked like a set.
Which, because they
in
were.
a soundstage,
Yeah.
whatever. And so I appreciated that this was not so claustrophobic. It opened up a lot.
You've got these fly-by scenes, around Chicago, Gotham, right? You see the river. That was awesome. I saw that Christopher Nolan intentionally, showed his production team Blade Runner, and they were kind of like, this is kind of the atmosphere I'm looking for in this movie, which I love the Blade Runner movie. So yeah, I appreciated that.
Yeah. Okay.
So this was always weird to me. You mentioned Arkham. It's always weird to me in this film that they were doing this whole thing in Arkham, and they kind of knew about it. Batman knew about it. Why wouldn't he just go shut it down? Doesn't he own it? Right? The Arkhams were from his mom.
Yeah.
Right? His mom's in Arkham. And so I always thought that was weird. I'm like, he literally owns this. Why is he breaking in? Like, he could
Don't shoot plot holes into our movie, Mark.
I'm just saying. It's like, it blows me away. I'm like, what a weird dynamic there.
Maybe not in the Chris Nolan universe.
Yeah, I think he sold it so we could buy that hotel that those models swam in.
There you
That's
go.
true. That's true. Yeah, just wrote a check.
Yeah.
just wrote a check. Like, that's how it works. I'm gonna try that. I'm buying this Applebee's. I'll put a check in his pocket for like $25.
I just bought this Applebee's.
So this is not how it works. And this is only $25. This doesn't even pay for your steak.
Well, that's how much they're worth.
What are you talking about?
Right.
Pretty sure $25 will get you 2 steaks at Applebee's.
2 for $25. You're probably right.
So you guys took a lot of notes. Do you have anything else to add?
It's all stuff that it's really reminders for me.
Okay.
Fear. Let's see here if there's anything on here that we talked about that we haven't talked about. No.
Okay.
The only thing that was puzzling, because as I watch it, it aged really well.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of movies, even movies that age well, you watch it and you're like, oh, wow, that scene was clunky or weird or whatever. It aged, I think, really well.
Yeah, you could watch that movie today and
Yeah.
it'd be like it was just released.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
You wouldn't even tell a difference.
I did watch
at
it
least
today.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
basically 20-year-old movie.
Yeah, but there was one thing that bugged me, just like a couple of things Mark brought up, is when he saves Rachel, and then he gives her like the most important job in the universe.
The antidote.
He gives her the antidote, and he explains it so quick, and he's like, I'm giving you a sedative. Like that seems like a risky thing to do with somebody. And why did she even need a sedative in the first place. And then she just like wakes up. Luckily, she wakes up just in time.
Yeah.
And she slept another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That was something that I was like, I don't even get that. What?
Yeah.
A note I took.
So, and didn't she have the one to take to Fox, or did someone else take it to Fox to replicate it?
Was it Fox?
I think he gave it to Fox at the party.
Okay, yeah.
And said,
Yeah.
go make as much of this. And he's like, Fox is like, it'll take me months. He's like, well, go make it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. So
Okay.
I think she might have just had the one for Gordon.
For Gordon. Okay. Rachel Dawes. How did you like her as a character, as a love interest? What about you, Blake? What's your take on Rachel Dawes?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I liked that they had a connection. From the beginning, I kind of liked that she had a little piece in his origin story.
Yeah.
So when she complains about him being Batman, he should be like, this all started literally with you and that stupid arrowhead.
Yeah, it's all your fault.
But I thought she was good. Like, I loved kind of that she was not. In the other Batmans, I mean, usually they were arm candy or whatever. I mean, they didn't really have a whole lot of strength on their own, and so she was strong. She was the assistant DA or whatever, and she was fighting her own battle and very passionate about it, and even set him on a good path at a certain point. And so I liked that she had her own power and had that she was a powerful character.
Mm-hmm.
It was good.
How'd you like the ending with her and Bruce?
I did not like it at all, and I'll expand on that.
Okay.
No, so at the end she shows up at the mansion, and there's a lot of things going on there. You think about Bruce and what he'd been through. First off, he's been Batman. He saved Gotham from certain destruction. He saved Rachel from being killed from insanity and whatever else happens after that. His dad's mansion just got burned down. She kisses him and then says, no, I can't be with you because of your mask. And I think that perhaps it would have been nice for her to have dated him for a while.
Yeah.
Like throw him a little bit of a bone there.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that always bugged me, because then we know she goes on and dates Harvey Dent, and
Loser.
he had, I think, a little bit more severe a problem with his two faces and all of that. And so anyway, that always bugged me.
Yeah.
But,
You guys have any strong opinions or additional thoughts on Rachel?
I think she's a great character, but I never really bought the romance part of it. I never was like, it just seemed really one-sided. Bruce was really into her, but I never thought, I was like, and I never got the impression from the movie that she liked him that much. I think she friend-zoned him a long time ago.
And that's maybe like in the second one. I remember there being a lot of like star-crossed lovers, kind of a feel for it.
Yeah.
But in this one,
Yeah.
yeah,
I never really got that from that character. I loved. She was great in the role that she played and did a great job.
Okay.
I like Gyllenhaal better as an actor. The way she took over the role in the next movie, but anyways,
Yeah, we'll get into that next time.
It's because you like the movie Misery.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, I thought that they did a really good job in the first one, and they wrote her really damsel in distress, and Batman was going out of his way to save her and stuff, and I kind of like that dynamic a little bit. I thought they didn't do a very good job writing her later. Like they tried to take her out of the damsel distress role and try to give her like more empowerment, which is fine. Woman empowerment's good, but the writing just wasn't there for her character. And then they blew her up. So there you go.
Spoiler alert.
Jeez, Mark.
My bad. I don't know. My bad. Sorry, I forgot.
Is Rachel in the comics? I think she's an original character.
Yeah, no, they wrote her just for these films.
Yeah. What about you, Mark? Anything else you noticed? Want to bring up?
No, I think we talked about it all. I think it's aged really well, solid movie. Love the Batmobile. I think that's my favorite Batmobile.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and just think you can buy one for what is it?
$3
million?
$3 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on sale.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow bought one.
Yeah. I
Did
saw
he
that.
really?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, he did.
I
That
saw
was like
that.
all over the news.
Yeah, they recorded him in practice telling his wide receivers, "Yeah, I just bought a Batmobile."
And how many? They're not like coming off an assembly line.
No,
There's
they're-
only like 3 or 4 or
I think there's 6. There's more than 4.
oh, okay.
There was enough because there's like screen used or promotional or whatever.
So that's funny that Burrow about that Batmobile because like a month ago I was watching like Fox NFL and they had who's the guy who was like Doug Flutie?
Mm-hmm.
They showed Doug Flutie pull out of his garage in one of the old TV show Batmobiles.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, poor Flutie. He can only
That's
afford
funny.
the old. So that's funny. That's
Yeah.
I wish I'd buy one if I could.
Oh man,
It'd be so sweet driving around in the neighborhood.
it would.
You get pulled over.
Probably.
I mean, look, if you're buying a $3 million vehicle, you can pay the $125.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a business vehicle. It's over what? However many pounds you need for business.
That's true. That's true.
Ride
Tax
it out.
deductible.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. If people can license those quads or those
Yeah.
side by sides,
Do you think the one that they're selling turns into a motorcycle?
yeah.
Wouldn't that be the best though?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
All right.
Okay, so that's our take on Batman Begins. Great movie. As far as like on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you guys rank it as?
Ooh, solid 9,
8.
8.5. Yeah. 8, 9. Somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll say 9 because I know what's coming next.
Yeah.
And so it's got to be 9. But it started it all. It set this perfect foundation, of him as a character. Both Batman and Bruce Wayne kind of were evenly invested in. And yeah, 9.
Yeah. 9 for me, too. All right, so let's get into our top 5 list. Mark's got a great one for us. Tell us about your top 5. What do you got?
Okay, so I did top 5 supervillains, and I got to do a couple things first before I get to the top 5. The bad, my
Yeah.
least favorite.
Give us a worst.
character. It's not 5. I just have 2. Talia al Ghul, Marion Cotillard. I thought she was a terrible written bad villain. Like I just did not.
This is from the
Not
movie,
like her.
right?
Yeah, from the movie.
Okay.
Ra's al
And
Ghul's
then-
daughter.
Yes, I just and the way she died, right? She's like
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's just like, oh, yep, she's dead. She must have died. So, anyways, bad. And then with that on the same level, Mr. Freeze. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked very
Terrible.
cool, but man, he did suck.
Oh yeah. Like it's got to be one of those things you look back like, what was I doing? I was sober during those years. What
It
happened?
was like one of those, like, I'm sure they're all like, what were we all doing? Like, at any point, we could have nudged each other and been like, we should go to lunch and not
Never
come
come
back
back.
to this
Yeah.
thing.
So those are my bad. My honorable mention before we get to the top 5, because he just didn't make the top 5, but I like him. Bane, Tom Hardy.
Honorable
I did a
mention.
great job.
Wow. Not even the top
Honorable
5?
mention.
Wow.
I know. So
He was good.
This is controversial. Number 5 is a little controversial, I know, but I really like this character and how he's written. Deadshot, Will Smith.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
I thought he did great. Yep. Especially, when like, he's like, oh, I don't like to put on the mask, and then he puts on the mask and he like just everyone sees him in action and he just wipes everything out, and it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I liked his dynamic, with the fire guy. I can't remember
Diablo.
his
Yeah.
name, Diablo,
El
and he's like,
Diablo,
hey
I
man,
think.
he's like, I was just trying to get you there. No hard feelings, right? Like, like
Yeah.
don't kill me.
Yeah.
So I just thought he was well written. Number 4, Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, from Suicide Squad as well. I thought she did great. I think she really encompassed the Harley Quinn how I imagine her, just kind of really off hinge and crazy, and you know, but she's hot. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
okay.
I buy it.
And there's worse ways to die, But and then the next one's a tie. Penguin, Danny DeVito, Colin Farrell.
Okay.
All right.
So
I'd go with
I
Colin
I
Farrell.
brought I like Colin Farrell, but Danny DeVito original. I mean, I think he did great, back in the day for his time. Um, Number 2, this used to be my number 1, easy number 1, but it's recently changed. Heath Ledger Joker. I think he's always up there. He did an amazing job at that. Um, I like Joaquin Phoenix, but Heath Ledger had it on spot. So, and my last one, Paul Dano, Riddler from the Batman with Robert Pattinson. I thought that was amazingly like we've seen the Riddler before in, you know, was it
Jim
Batman
Carrey.
Batman?
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Batman Forever, and it was terrible. And but this one, man, like it was like he was a scary bad guy. Like, oh my gosh, this guy's creepy, And I just remember watching the film and he just starts singing Ave Maria, and you're like,
Ave
oh
Maria. Yeah.
I like it.
yeah, and you're like, this guy is crazy,
Those
and
are the ones you got to be scared of
he's
the most, so the psychotic ones.
Yeah.
yeah, and I just thought it was like that character was great. It brought a huge like it brought a different villain back to the spotlight in a really different way that was worrisome. Like that's
Yeah.
scary,
Kind of
you know?
unsettling. Yeah. This guy could happen.
hmm Yeah, and I think, and I kind of like, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker is kind of the same way. Like these guys are just like they've lost their minds. They're crazy. They're completely dangerous. Even the Heath Ledger Joker, and I kind of liked how the Heath Ledger's like, don't talk to me like you're one of them. You're not one of them. You're basically me. Like we're the same.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Anyways, that's my top 5. I don't know if that's spot on with you guys or you guys like it, but there you go.
I like it.
It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have them in that particular order, but
Yeah.
mostly agree. Although, as far as horrible, I would say Max Shrek is the worst villain.
What about Poison Ivy though, man? She was so horrible in that movie.
Yeah, not as bad as Max Shrek, but she's definitely
gosh.
bad. And yeah. And I would have to Penguin, Danny DeVito Penguin would not be on my top 5.
Yeah. I enjoy him.
I
and
enjoyed it because the original.
But I understand why you're saying that.
Yeah.
He is an awesome actor and did a great job, but I didn't like him in that movie.
Yeah.
I didn't like that penguin in that movie. And but I just didn't like that movie. So that's probably why.
Yeah. It was a bit of a rough one.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Cool.
Good deal. So what do you guys think as far as a franchise? Would you want to see, like, there's the whole Legion of Doom concept, like a bad guy Justice League, taking this theme of top 5 villains and some honorable mentions. Would you want to see a movie like where there's Batman fighting these top tier villains or them coming together to battle? Would that be something up your alley, or do you like the kind of the 1 or 2 per movie?
Yeah. I feel like it gets just too bloated when you get them all. And then you've got a bunch. It feels like when they get too many villains together, then you start to see this like upstaging kind of escalation of interaction and stuff. it just never works for me.
And to me, by definition, bad guys don't
Work
they don't
together.
cooperate. they're,
You know, it's
they're
gonna
not-
work. Teamwork,
Yeah,
guys.
they're not team players.
Yeah.
They're selfish. They have their own agenda, and they're gonna backstab anyone.
Yeah.
Right. So it just conceptually doesn't work for me. I don't have a problem with multiple superheroes fighting an overpowered bad guy. But yeah, just a bunch of, like I just said, I don't see it. Yeah, I'm not something I'd be interested in.
Okay.
Although I did like the Suicide Squad movies, that was cool. But it was more anti-hero situation.
Yeah, that was a movie where it's about
Yeah.
them and not.
Yeah, I think it works with the villains it had, but it wouldn't work with like Joker and Penguin and
No. Yeah.
Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor they would get you. I mean, that's like Lex
Just
Luthor
watching
would be,
them interact would
Yeah.
drive me insane.
Well, Lex Luthor would go. He'd be like, "I'm so sick of you, Joker," and this and that, and then Penguin, you're ruining my plans. And they would just not get along. It's just like,
yeah, we can't all have a master plan.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
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 Okay. Good points. All right. So Blake has got a bold statement for us, or a hot
All
take.
right, let's hear it and we have no idea what this is. So
Yeah. So, time to edit.
Okay.
So if you ever are in a situation where you're accusing somebody of some very heinous crimes, and that person says, "Come here, I want to show you something," and then you get in an elevator and you go to a floor that he needs a special key to take you to,
That's
maybe
labeled,
don't go.
That's labeled basement.
And you need a key to go there, don't go.
yeah,
Anytime in a movie anybody tells you there's something I need to show you, don't go. Do you go when your daughter says, "Dad, there's something I got to show you"?
right.
I go,
So,
"No, I'm
so,
not going anywhere."
Blake, call me.
You tell me what it
accuse
is.
Accuse me of something. Accuse me of being a criminal. Like, right? Go ahead.
Hey, Nate, I know what you did last night. I know
What you did last summer.
I know what you did, and I don't like it.
And I'm going to call the police or something.
I'm going to call the police. I'm going to report you.
Oh, really, Blake?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Before you do that, why don't you come with me down the elevator over here?
Okay. Who is it? Is it something I need to see?
Yeah, let me show you something. Let me show you something.
Okay, but then I'm reporting you.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. All right. Before you do that,
We
can I
should
show
be-
you something?
We should be actors and scene.
And scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So that's my hot take.
that's a that's a valid point for sure. Yeah.
But
Okay.
even in real life, if somebody says, "Come here, I want to show you something," you don't go.
But
like,
what if
well-
it's the Batcave?
I would say, "Tell me what it is first," and then if they say it's the Batcave, I'd say, "Well, show me a picture or something. How far is it?"
Yeah, I know.
Like, I mean, I'm tired. It's late.
Let me show you my bat cave. Like, wait a minute. What?
Wait, yeah, I'd be
I'm
like,
good.
no.
I'm good.
Let me
That's-
Google a few things first.
What if he goes
I
up
don't
to the
think I-
piano? Go ahead, Mark.
As I say, I don't think I've had quite enough yet to be going into someo's bat cave. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk to me in 5 drinks. You know what I'm saying?
that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what if they go up to the piano and push 2 keys, dink, dink, and this door opens?
Yeah. And
If
you
there's
have
a fire behind me,
fireman.
Would you
then I
go?
go.
Okay.
Yeah,
You wouldn't be curious. Be like, oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
I did like that, how they brought that in, the secret entrance to the Batcave.
yeah.
That was cool. I'm glad that piano didn't burn first
Yeah.
because
I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. So that's our hot take. Advice from Blake.
Yeah, you're like some college-educated like
A
lawyer
DA,
who,
assistant DA.
who knows. Yeah, who knows the corruption of the mob, and you're pretty sure this guy's involved. But yeah, I'll come with you. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Well, if it's something that I should see,
that would
Yeah.
be evidence against you, yeah, then please bring it to my attention.
maybe that's what she was thinking. Oh my gosh, he's gonna show me.
He's gonna
the
incriminate
evidence. I'm
himself.
the assistant DA. I don't know if he knows that.
That's too funny.
All right. So Thanks, guys, for joining us here on the Credible Owners Podcast as we talk Batman Begins. We will be back next time to talk about one of the best movies of all time, dare I say.
All time.
Not the best, one of the best. Because
Yeah.
I think it's hard to determine. I think we've talked about, like, what is our top 10 movies
Impossible.
and doing a podcast about that. But
Yeah.
this would definitely be on my list for a top 10 movie of all time, The Dark Knight. And we will get into that more next time and talk about why it's great and all that fun stuff. So thanks again for joining us here on the Credible Owners Podcast. Like the video, comment on the video. Helps us out a lot. So we appreciate you guys listening, and we will catch you next time.
See you guys.
See ya.
See ya.